These are the biggest mistakes Americans keep making when they visit Costa Rica, and most don't even realize it. In my last video, I shared what I personally got wrong. After talking to expats, digging through forums, and experiencing it firsthand, I realized these common mistakes cost Americans time, money, and their expectations. We're diving deep into the most costly mistakes Americans make in Costa Rica, covering expenses, location traps, visa problems, and lifestyle mismatches, using data from the Earthawaits, Numbeo, and livingcost.org. Don't skip the ending, because the number one reason Americans fail in Costa Rica isn't what you think. Everyone thinks Costa Rica is a cheap tropical escape until their first month's bill hits. I remember landing with that same $1,000 paradise mindset, the one you see all over YouTube and travel blogs. The idea sounds perfect. Wake up near the beach, eat fresh fruit every day, and live stress-free for a fraction of what you'd spend back home. And sure, that version of Costa Rica exists, but it's not the one most Americans actually experience. The reality hits fast, usually at the grocery store. You walk in expecting local prices, but instead you're staring at imported goods that cost more than they do in the US. Basic items, cereal, snacks, even certain fruits out of season, add up quickly because so much is brought in. Eating like you did back home, that's where your budget starts slipping. Then comes rent. If you're picturing yourself in popular expat areas, beach towns, walkable communities, places with reliable Wi-Fi and modern comforts, you're not getting local prices. You're paying premium rates. In some cases, rent can rival or even exceed smaller US cities, especially in hotspots where demand keeps climbing. And here's the part most people don't realize. You're not competing with locals when it comes to prices. You're competing with other expats, people arriving with bigger budgets, remote incomes, or retirement savings drive prices up in the exact areas you're looking at. So that dream of a $1,000 lifestyle, it's not impossible, but for most Americans, it's not realistic without major trade-offs. The second mistake hits right after the budget reality, choosing the wrong place to live. At first, every option in Costa Rica sounds like a dream. Beach towns promise sunsets and surf. Jungle areas offer privacy and nature, and cities give you convenience and structure. I remember thinking, why not go all in on paradise? So, like many others, I leaned toward the most Instagram-worthy choice. But here's where things start to shift. Beach life is beautiful, but it often comes with higher prices, crowds, and long drives for basic services. Jungle living feels peaceful until the isolation kicks in. You're far from everything, and even simple errands can turn into half-day trips. Cities solve some of that, but then you're trading that tropical escape feeling for something more urban, and in some cases, still not as convenient as back home. Then the real problems show up. Isolation isn't just about distance, it's about access. Need a hospital? It might not be close. Internet issues are another big one. What works fine for casual browsing can fall apart if you rely on stable Wi-Fi for work. And transportation? Without a car, your options can be limited, inconsistent, or expensive over time. Living in paradise sounds amazing until you need a hospital or stable Wi-Fi. Most people don't realize that the perfect location on day one can become the biggest source of stress later on, and this is just the beginning. Wait until you hear mistake number 4, because that's where people really lose money. You don't really understand Costa Rica until the rain doesn't stop. Before coming, I pictured endless tropical sunshine, the kind of weather where every day feels like a vacation. Blue skies, beach afternoons, warm evenings. That's the expectation most Americans arrive with. And during the dry season, it almost feels like that dream is real. Then the rainy season shows up, and it's not just a quick shower here and there, it's months of consistent, heavy rain. Afternoon turn into downpours, roads get muddy, plans get canceled, and that outdoor lifestyle you imagined suddenly isn't so easy to maintain. Even simple things like going to the store or meeting friends start requiring more effort and planning. But the bigger shift isn't just physical, it's mental. When the skies stay gray for days, sometimes weeks, it affects your mood more than you expect. That "I'm living in paradise" feeling slowly gets replaced with frustration, boredom, or even isolation, especially if you're already dealing with distance from friends and family back home. The slower pace that once felt relaxing can start to feel limiting. This is where a lot of people start questioning their decision. It's not that Costa Rica isn't beautiful, it absolutely is, but the version people imagine doesn't always include the long stretches of rain, the unpredictability, and the way it reshapes your daily life. And if you're not prepared for that shift, it can catch you off guard in a way no blog or travel video really explains. The fourth mistake doesn't show up right away, but when it does, it can unravel everything. When I first arrived, visas felt like a background detail, something to figure out later. Like a lot of Americans, I assumed I could just stay, enjoy the lifestyle, and deal with paperwork when needed. That's where the idea of border runs comes in. Leaving the country every few months just to reset your tourist visa and come back. At first, it sounds simple. A quick trip out, a stamp, and you're good to go. But over time, it becomes exhausting. Planning trips around expiration dates, paying for transportation, accommodations, and hoping nothing changes at the border. Because here's the part many don't fully understand. There are legal limitations, and they're not always flexible. Rules can shift, enforcement can tighten, and there's no guarantee you'll be let back in the same way every time. You're essentially building your life on something temporary, and that uncertainty starts to creep into everything else. And that's where the stress really builds. You can't fully settle in. Big decisions, renting long-term, investing, even just feeling stable, become harder when your legal status is always in question. It's a constant mental weight in the background. Most people don't think about this until it becomes a problem. But by then, they've already built a life they're not sure they're allowed to keep. And fixing it isn't always quick, easy, or cheap. Keep watching, because there are 5 more common mistakes Americans commit living in Costa Rica. The fastest way to burn out in paradise is to treat every day like a vacation. When people first arrive in Costa Rica, there's this rush. You made it, so naturally you lean into it. Eating out constantly feels justified at first. Oceanfront dinners, cafes every morning, drinks at sunset. It feels like you're finally living the life you worked so hard for. Then it quietly becomes your routine. Days start revolving around the beach. Because why wouldn't they? You came for the lifestyle after all. Morning swims, midday breaks, sunsets every evening. But over time, that rhythm starts to blur. Without realizing it, the structure you once had, work schedules, errands, even small routines, begins to disappear. And that's where things start to feel off. Without structure, days can unproductive unproductive, even if they look amazing on the outside. You lose track of time, your expenses creep up, and that constant vacation mode becomes harder to maintain financially and mentally. Eating out adds up fast, especially in expat areas, and living at the beach every day, it's not as effortless as it sounds when it becomes your normal instead of your escape. Eventually, the excitement fades just enough for reality to step in. You start to realize that what felt like freedom can slowly turn into imbalance. There's no rhythm, no grounding, and no real sense of progress. Just a loop of short-term udovostvia that don't hold up long-term. Vacation lifestyle does not equate to real-life sustainability. The people who actually make it work in Costa Rica aren't the ones chasing the vacation feeling every day. They're the ones who rebuild structure, create routines and treat it like a real life, not a permanent getaway. The expenses that catch you off guard in Costa Rica aren't the obvious ones. They're the ones no one warns you about. At first, your budget feels under control. Rent? Accounted for. Groceries? Manageable. Maybe even cheaper than expected if you're careful. But then, the hidden costs start showing up, little by little, until they're impossible to ignore. Healthcare is usually the first surprise. Costa Rica has both public and private systems, and while the public option can be affordable, it often comes with long wait times and limited flexibility. So, most expats turn to private care for speed and comfort, but that convenience comes at a price. Appointments, tests, and insurance premiums start adding up fast if you didn't plan for them. Then there's transportation. Owning a car in Costa Rica isn't like back home. Vehicles are significantly more expensive due to import taxes, and that's just the beginning. Maintenance, insurance, and fuel costs can be higher than expected, especially depending on where you live. And if you thought you could rely on public transportation, that depends heavily on your location. It's not always reliable or convenient for daily life. And then come the smaller costs that don't feel small over time. Security deposits for rentals, utility setup fees, legal paperwork, visa-related expenses, even things like appliance replacements or home repairs. These aren't always discussed up front, but they're part of settling in. Each one chips away at your budget in a way that's easy to underestimate. The pattern is always the same. It's not one big expense, it's dozens of smaller ones stacking up. And if you didn't build a cushion for those hidden costs, they can quickly turn what felt like an affordable move into something much harder to sustain. Make sure to watch all the way through. You won't believe what can happen if you do not adapt to the country culture. The mistake that quietly pushes people out of Costa Rica isn't money, it's mindset. When you first hear Pura Vida, it sounds like a slogan, a nice phrase people say to mean life is good. But once you're actually living there, you realize it's not just a saying, it's a way of life. It shapes how people work, communicate, and move through their day, and that's where the adjustment begins. Costa Rica runs on a slower pace. Things take longer, appointments, services, even simple requests. Plans aren't always rigid, and urgency doesn't carry the same weight it often does in the US. At first, it can feel refreshing, like a break from the constant rush. But over time, that feeling can shift. For many Americans used to speed, efficiency, and clear timelines, the slower rhythm starts to create friction. You expect things to happen quickly, to be structured, to follow a system, and when they don't, it can feel frustrating. You might find yourself waiting longer than expected, repeating conversations, or adjusting plans on the fly more often than you're comfortable with. It's not wrong, it's just different. The challenge is that adapting to this mindset isn't automatic. It requires patience, flexibility, and a willingness to let go of certain expectations. And not everyone is ready for that shift, especially when it affects daily life in ways that feel constant. This breaks more people than money does, because you can budget for expenses, but it's much harder to budget for a completely different way of living. The people who thrive aren't the ones who resist it, they're the ones who learn how to move with it. The moment everything feels secure in Costa Rica is usually the moment remote work starts testing you. A lot of people arrive assuming that as long as they have a laptop and Wi-Fi, work will just continue as normal. On paper, it sounds simple. Tropical views, flexible hours, and income coming in from abroad. But reality has a way of interrupting that setup in small, frustrating ways. Internet reliability is often the first shock. In some areas, especially outside major hubs, connection speeds can be inconsistent. Even when things are good, you might deal with sudden drops, power outages, or slower speeds during peak hours. What feels like a minor inconvenience on vacation becomes a serious problem when meetings freeze mid-sentence or deadlines depend on stable uploads. Then there's the time zone issue. Costa Rica runs on Central Time, which might not seem like a big deal at first. But if your clients, company, or team are on East Coast, West Coast, or even Europe, your workday can quickly stretch awkwardly. Early mornings, late nights, or split schedules become normal, and that constant adjustment can wear you down over time. And finally, income inconsistency catches people off guard. Freelance work, contract roles, or location-independent jobs can feel stable until they aren't. Client delays, seasonal slowdowns, or unexpected gaps in projects become much more stressful when you're far from familiar support systems and dealing with a higher cost of living than expected. The lifestyle looks like freedom from the outside, but inside it can feel like constant coordination just to stay afloat. Remote work in Costa Rica can absolutely work, but assuming it will always work smoothly is where a lot of people get tripped up. You'll want to see what can happen if you have one particular plan not in place. Trust me. The hardest truth about moving to Costa Rica is that most people never plan for leaving. When people arrive, everything feels open-ended, like there's endless time to figure things out. But life doesn't always stay in that new adventure phase. Over time, expenses add up, savings start to shrink, and what once felt exciting slowly becomes pressure. Running out of money is often the first real wake-up call. It doesn't always happen dramatically. Sometimes it's just tighter budgeting, delayed decisions, or realizing you're spending more than you planned month after month. The cushion you thought would last suddenly doesn't stretch as far, especially with hidden costs and lifestyle adjustments you didn't fully account for. Then comes burnout. Living abroad sounds freeing, but constant adaptation can be exhausting. New systems, language barriers, visa stress, financial pressure, and lifestyle adjustments stack up over time. Even in a beautiful place, that mental load doesn't disappear. It compounds, and eventually, some people find themselves tired in a way they didn't expect to feel in paradise. And then, reality shock hits. It's that moment when the dream version of Costa Rica no longer matches your day-to-day experience. The excitement fades, the challenges feel heavier, and the idea of starting fresh somewhere else begins to cross your mind more often than you expected. This is where everything comes together, because without an exit plan, financially, mentally, and logistically, people can feel stuck in a place they once chose freely. Not because Costa Rica is the problem, but because they never prepared for the possibility that they might need to pivot. The people who do best aren't just the ones who move well. They're the ones who know how they'll leave if they need to. What we reveal to be the real reason Americans fail in Costa Rica might be a shock to you. The real reason Americans fail in Costa Rica isn't what most people think. It's not cost. It's not visas. It's not even the country itself. It's because they move based on a fantasy, not a system. They arrive chasing a version of life they saw online. Sunsets, cheap living, endless freedom. But they don't build anything structured behind it. So when reality shows up, there's nothing holding the move together. They come in with no financial plan, assuming things will work themselves out once they're there. No real lifestyle test. Just a short vacation that feels nothing like everyday living, and almost no long-term thinking beyond the excitement of the first few weeks. That's where things start to fall apart. But there is a smarter way to do it. The 3-step SMART move system. First, test before you commit. Stay 1 to 3 months and actually live a normal life. Not a vacation. Real routines, real expenses, real responsibilities. That's where the truth shows up. Second, budget for reality, not the YouTube fantasy. Take what you think you'll spend and add a 30% to 50% buffer. Because unexpected costs are not if, they're when. Third, build income first, not after you arrive. Remote work, clients, savings, whatever your setup is, it should already be stable before you make the move, not something you hope to figure out once you land. Costa Rica can be amazing if you do it right, but if you don't, it can turn into an expensive lesson that forces you to rebuild everything from scratch. If you want a deeper look at what life in Costa Rica is really like beyond the surface, check out the other videos we've lined up for you about living in the country.